Hey guys, Luke here. Got a battle report for you. Recording it on my lunch break because I just don't have a lot of time for Warhammer right now with all the holidays coming up. My buddy came over and we were going to teach one of our friends how to play Warhammer with ogres and Empire. Figured it'd be good for him to play the ogres, but he was running late, so we decided, let's just play vampires and chaos. Chaos Army doesn't really have any of the new toys yet, but he is getting them for the holidays, so hopefully we'll see those soon. I'm trying a vampire list that involves 2 level 2s of Shadow to try to benefit from getting Mindrazor, which is now a viable strategy with vampires after the new FAQ. So we'll see what happens. So basically I've got 2 level 2s. They're the 2 rows of spells. The 2 columns of spells there on the left. Then I've got a level 4 of Death. Then I've got 2 guys that are just level 1 vampires, Invocation of Knack. I took this list off of the Vampire Counts forum from a guy who made it named Johnny Crass. That's his username. He's pretty great, and I figured, hey, let's give a shot at butchering this. So we get Dawn Attack. Sadly, we're pretty rushed here, trying to get stuff taken care of, so I just screw up my deployment. But this is what the board looks like. Really, the only thing that matters is in between the river. That is a river. It causes fear, but in between the river is something that gives frenzy. So in my deployment, I'm not even really paying attention. I'm just, okay, let's roll for the first unit, and I did the skeletons. They ended up in the flank, and I forgot to say that my vampire was with it. All right, screw it. So I'll roll for him next. He ends up on the other flank, and I'm like, man, why am I even doing this? And I realize I'm crowding the line here as opposed to turtling, so I'll spend my first turn fixing it. But I got 50 skeletons in a horde. Then I've got 2 fellbats and a mortis engine, proxying for that corpse cart there. Then I've got 20 zombies. Just as a bunker for my Ghoul King. He is naked except for Master of the Black Arts, so he can reroll 1 of the die for Winds of Magic. My Necromancer level 1 has a Curse Book, and my Necromancer level 4 is in there, but he's of Death. The Ghoul King, just a close-up of him, he actually has a Dispel Scroll as well. And then I'm using a 40k Chaos model for my Lord level Necromancer. I forgot to point out, then there's a horde of ghouls. With my level 2 vampire, I do remember to deploy him in there. He's the other guy with Shadow. Then I've got 2 groups of 2 fellbats and 1 group Spirit Hosts. And then over here I've got the other Spirit Host, and sadly my lone vampire I mentioned with the Mortis Engine are on the other side, and they're going to have to hightail it over. Over here, Chaos Guy has a group of dogs, Marauders with just a bunker with his level 4 Heavens, then a group of Warriors with his BSB in there. Then he's got his Knights and his General. His General isn't deployed here in this picture, but he'll be right there on the left. Then he's got a Giant and big horde of Marauders with great weapons, dogs, and a Hell Cannon. So it's turn 1. I start hightailing everyone from the left to the right, trying to get them over. Realize the Vampire can't march through the river. We'll fix that in a minute here. You'll see in the other pictures. Spirit Hosts are pushing forward to try to go out and mess with people. And otherwise, my bunker moves back. I swift reform my skeletons to move left and move the Mortis Engine left as well. Kind of move some of the bats out front, just trying to turtle. This arrow here shows the fact that those guys are actually facing the direction of the arrow, even though I didn't want to move all the models or anything like that. So I'll swift reform them on my next turn is what I'm thinking. During Magic, I roll 6 to 1 for the Winds of Magic, but because I have Master of the Black Arts, I reroll the 1 and end up getting 11 dice to hit 6. The Curse Book casts Soul Blight, but the only target is on the dogs. He lets it go, it just took 1 die. Then I was able to cast Melkoths on the Warriors, and he lets that go, but I ended up getting 3 movement debuff. I was pretty happy about that, because now they're going to be really slow. And then I tried to cast Juiced Up Pit of Shades, but that got dispelled. Chaos turn 1. He moves his guys up as much as he can. The Warriors are lagging behind. Over here, he moves the Marauders up and the dogs up. Those Marauders, it doesn't look like they've moved if you looked at the last picture carefully, but that was because he had artificially put them too far forward because of the stupid hill that was there, moving his models and shaking them. So now they're where they're supposed to be. During his Magic phase, he gets 9 to 6. He casts Juiced Up Harmonic Convergence, but I know his caster is pretty far back. He really can only do the Comet, so I just let Harmonic Convergence go. We're not going to be in combat soon. And then he tries throwing the Comet down there, and I did throw my dice at it and dispel it, but that's where he's going to try to place it from now on, basically, every time he tries to cast it. Over here, during shooting, the Hell Cannon tries to aim here for the bunker, rolls a miscast, or a misfire, and lurches forward. Vampire turn 2, I charge my spirit host in the upper left there into his dogs and make it, so I feel pretty good about that. And the Fellbats I'm moving out front. They don't have a ton of movement, and I'm just trying to make it so these guys, I'm hoping they're frenzied, I don't really know, but are going to have to overrun and wipe them out and be facing with nice juicy flanks to me. That's what I'm hoping for. Then the other guys on the left are making their way toward the bunker, and I move the level 2 Shadow Vampire out of the ghouls and into the skeletons so that they've got one choppy guy. And I'll move the other vampire into the ghouls. Let's see, where are we? During magic, it's 6 dice to 3. The book casts the Withering with 1 die, and it goes off on the giant, so he's -1 toughness. He lets it go. I put Soul Blight on the knights, and he lets that go as well. You know, he may have tried to dispel that. I don't remember, but it gets off on him. Then I try to cast Spirit Leech. It goes off, but it doesn't end up wounding anyone. So that's basically the end of my magic phase. Yeah, guess we're in close combat now. I have to overrun, which I wanted to anyway, but I end up breaking the dogs and running him down, and now I'm parked right in front of his bunker with some ghosts that he can't really deal with too well, so I'm happy about that. And here's what the board looks like going into the Chaos turn, so you can see I'm kind of turtling better. Chaos turn 2. He charges this giant. You know what? I'm just kind of was not doing this right. I'm still trying to. I've never really used Fellbats before, and I'm not that good with redirectors. Still kind of learning. And it looked to me like he was going to have to charge, but you know, I realized now, no, he could just go right by them into the skeletons, and that's okay. I mean, that's what they're there for anyway. They're not going to be charging anyone. But then over here, I thought frenzy doesn't mean these guys don't have frenzy, but you know, frenzy doesn't mean you have to charge the closest guy. I guess I. Just wasn't really thinking too well. So the knights charge the Fellbats over there, and the warriors end up with, even with their slow-ass movement, get into the... oh, you know what? They don't have slow movement anymore. Yeah, they're fine. But they get into the side of those Fellbats. So the 2 redirectors ended up just kind of getting hit in the flank, and they're not going to really help out the way I was thinking. You live and you learn. The dogs over here make a actually fairly decent long charge into the flank of the skeletons, so that'll help them with some combat res. Otherwise, Marauders move up, as you can see there, take a couple wounds from the forest. It's one of the ones that attacks them. It's 5 dice to 5, and I dispel the comet again in the same spot. During shooting, however, his Hellcannon doesn't miss and puts a giant-ass wound, giant-ass amount of wounds. 17 zombies die, but there's still a few there, so I can bring them back. Very happy about that. Over here, the Knights kill the bat and reform. The Warriors kill the bats, reform. And my zombie ends up doing, my vampire ends up doing 2 wounds to the giant, but I forget about Red Fury, so I maybe could have done more there, but I just totally spaced it. And then my skeletons did 1, so he's sitting on 3 wounds. I know his die says 4. This is a picture from a little bit further ahead. So giant sticks around, and I end up losing combat and crumbling a bit because I'm in the flank. Vampire turn 3. I go ahead and charge the Spirit Host into this group. I'm going to try to, I mean, I know he's got 1 stat of combat res on me, but I'm going to try to throw some attacks at the Lord and see what I can do. Over here, just move the Spirit Host as far as they can. They really don't have a lot of movement because they were so far away and they're not in the bubble, but I'm just moving them to try to start blocking. And then I get my Vampire into the group of the Ghouls. He's safe now, and the Mortis Engine's hereby, and now they're pulse and regen. Usually the Ghouls are getting hit by both, and the Skeletons are only getting hit by 1 usually. And I do 1 wound on the giant because of the evil pulse. It's 11 dice to 6 during the magic phase, and Soul Blight goes off from the book on the Knights on 1 die. He lets it go, and he dispels both attempts at casting. I think I rolled 3 die for Invocation of Heck for my level 1s. Both of them are dispelled, so I can't heal the bunker or the skeletons up, sadly. I get boxcars for hits on Laneth on his general and get 7 wounds, but he ward saves like all of them, and it was crazy. So that sucked. Well, it was boxcars, which equates to 7 wounds, and then he ward saved them all, which was just awful. So there was really no good reason to do Occam's here because I had to throw a bunch of dice at it, and I know he has a Dispel Scroll, and I know he has the puppet. So I was like, you know what, let's not try it now. I can kill this giant regardless. I don't think I'm going to have a big combat on the ghouls that I have to worry about right now, and if I do, he just won't charge him this turn. So I try to focus on healing. Over here, the Spirit Host at the top, it's a tie. No wounds, but I charged, so nothing happens. The Skeletons and the Vamp kill the Giant, but I end up losing 10. The Giant is stuck and jumping up and down. So where those dice are, it's actually showing the 10 are missing, and from that side, that's how many models basically from the dice left are not in that horde for the attacks back. And I end up killing all but one dog. So even though I kill the Giant, I lose combat because I'm in the flank, and the dog sticks around. So I'm severely depleted at this point. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to stay in horde formation for attacks, but if I reform out, I'll be way away from my main combat line, and that'll open up the Knights to charge my bunker or the Mortis Engine on the right. So I stay weakened in horde formation just to keep blocking. It's Chaos turn 3 now. He gets a long charge of the Knights into the Ghouls, which I didn't think he was going to do, and he just moves up with his Warriors. So we'll see what happens there. I've got poison, but he's got high armor, so I'm going to need to get knock'ems off here pretty soon. Then he just moves his Marauders up, because everyone was kind of bottlenecked there. That's probably why he charges guys out of the way, too, just to make room for them all. Here, during Magic, it's 5 dice to 3. I try to dispel Ice Shard Blizzard on my Ghouls, and end up getting it, and then he's able, because of that, to cast the Comet. So I could be in some trouble there. He puts it right there. I'm usually not too afraid of the Comet, but, you know, I'm kind of depleted here in my bunker, so we'll see what happens. I kill the last dog, and now I can reform a bit because it's my turn coming, so I reform to get the ranks, and I'll be able to move next time where I need to be. Over here, the general challenges I accept with my Ghast, which he just pays him. And sadly, because of where I was and where his general was, that accepting with the Ghast moves my Vampire out of combat, because my Ghast has to move over there, and there's nobody else in that corner for my Vampire to hit. So it's all just straight Ghoul attacks, and I end up losing by 3 and crumbling a bit, so it sucks for me. It sucks when your combat Vampire can't be in there. So now it's Vampire turn 4. I elect not to charge my Skeletons in anywhere, because I think they're just going to get a little bit wasted, and I think that's a long charge, and the Marauders are going to have trouble fitting. So at this point, I look at it, I think the Marauders are going to have to, if they try to charge in, they're going to have to hit my Skeletons, and I want them to. I want the extra ranks of fighting and all that. So I just move my Mortis Engine over a little bit. It pulses a bit, but he armor saves the black pulse, basically. But it does give regen off to everyone. During Magic, it's really the first bad die roll I think I've had with Master of the Black Arts, and so I was only really able to cast Invocation, I think, like once, and just healed up a few guys. Not enough, a few on the Ghouls here, but not a ton. And then my bunker, I think, heals up quite a bit. I don't have a good picture of it. But otherwise, I'm looking at the dice, and I can't reliably get Mindrazor off with the 3 dice I have. I think it was 3. And, you know, it's not on my level 4, so, you know, I know he's got the scroll. It's just going to shut off. So I just kind of make him going to 2 heals. And, like I said, I end up getting a heal off. During close combat, my Vampire, I had forgot to Swift Reform, or Combat Reform at the end, so the Vampire was stuck on the side. Sadly, like, I had to accept the challenge, because otherwise he was going to be out. I don't know, I guess that probably wasn't the right thing to do, because he got pasted before, you know, his general was one initiative higher. So basically, he got pasted, didn't get to fight back. And then I threw the rest of the Ghoul attacks in, ended up killing a few of them, though. So, you know, I probably should have done that. I probably should have been smarter and reformed so that the Combat Vampire could have hit the Warriors, but, you know, wasn't really thinking. I think, actually, one of those Knights died from the Scream. Yeah, that's true. My little Mortis Engine there was able to Scream. But at this point, the Mortis Engine can't charge. I wanted to charge in, but because of the way that the Knights have been dying, I have to charge in the flank or in the front from where he is, and there's no front to charge. And I decided that the Spirit Hosts weren't going to hold up enough in combat. So I figured I didn't want to move the Mortis Engine up and then open it up to a flank charge from the Warriors. So I just kept it there for pulsing and screaming. That was kind of my thinking. If I could have gotten the flank and maybe broken them, That would have been cool, but I wasn't going to be able to do that from where I was. Over here, I end up putting a wound on the Lord, which is pretty fantastic. And then I don't remember how it happened, but at some point I've taken just a crumble from combat res. This is just what it looks like at the end of combat. Over here, cast turn 4. The Hell Cannon charges off, sadly. Fails its leadership chest, so it's kind of just moving up screen or off screen there a little bit. The Marauders charge the Skeletons, and the Knights get sick of the Redirector. I'm sorry, not the Knights, the Warriors get sick of the Redirector and just decide to deal with them. They're going to charge them and then reform. They're not frenzied, so I don't get as much out of it. During Magic, the Comet actually comes down and does 3 wounds to my Mortis Engine. I wonder if I have a good picture of it. I guess I don't. Comet comes down, does 3 wounds to the Mortis Engine, 5 Skeletons, 7 Ghouls, a few Marauders, kills a bunch of the zombies that were there. And so that was pretty big for him, because it wasn't devastating, but it was enough that suddenly I'm going to be losing a good amount of ranks here. Maybe this is a picture of it. Yeah, I guess it's just not it. This is the closest one I've got, but it's not showing the devastation after the Comet as far as I can tell. Otherwise, it's 8 dice to 6. He tries to cast the Comet again and gets it to cast. I tried to dispel, and it just failed to get it. But actually, you know what? That's where this is where I made a note for myself, my notes. So what happened here? I didn't try to dispel. I just threw my dispel scroll at it because the Comet came down first. It did enough damage, and that was really all he could cast. Remember, his caster's way up north and can't get anything else in range. So he tries to cast the Comet again, and I use my dispel scroll. I say that, and we're done. But we don't pick up the marker. The marker's still sitting there. So when we go forward to the next phase, we think the Comet's still there. We're kind of doing fast and trying to get a quick game in so we can get to the other one. And so remember, there is no Comet coming down now. It's already come down and done its devastation. But I think there is. So it's just terrible playing on my part. So we're going to pretend that I didn't use the scroll here, because for the rest of the game, that Comet is really going to impact things. So over here, I don't get anything during the shooting phase for screams. It's his shooting phase. Because his Hell Cannon broke forward, it doesn't get to shoot. During the Knight's fight, I don't accept the challenge with my Ghast, because he can't send a champion to the back. But, he's got a 1-up armor save, and I'm not able to really squeak any through. And I'm pretty depleted from the Comet and from his attacks on his 2 guys. So that's going on there. The Spirit Host up north puts a 2nd wound on the Lord, failing his armor save. So that's pretty cool. I might take that Lord out with that crappy little unit. I'm very happy about that. Over here, the Vamp does a good number of wounds with Red Fury, but yeah, I know his guy had to challenge. I must have accepted with my Skeleton champion. His little sorcerer on the left there had a challenge. But anyway, my Vampire did some wounds. The Skeleton did some wounds, but not enough. Skeletons were really just awful. They couldn't land in, and those guys have great weapons, so they just laid into them. Didn't make a lot of regen saves, so now I'm pretty depleted. Ice Shard Blizzard, again, was affecting me, so I think I forgot to mention that in the Magic phase, but that's what happened. So, those guys are really getting between the Comet. I think they were like 35 strong, something like that, and between the Comet and the great weapons, now I'm looking like I'm in a world of hurt here. It's Vampire turn 4. So here's what happens here, and this is bizarre. I roll doubles for both Mortis Engines, so both Mortis Engines take a wound, and end up, pulsing out fairly high distances and melting a couple of the guys. None of the Knights, but it melts a few of the Marauders and stuff, like you would expect, and everyone gets regen. Everyone's happy. But during movement's about the same. I can't really go anywhere. I should have charged my Strigoi Ghoul King out to help with the Skeleton Marauder fight. But, he's naked. I'm kind of afraid of it. He's a lot of points. He just really has his regen save. So I didn't, but I thought, I probably could have won that fight, is what I was thinking if I had done that, in hindsight. So during Magic, we see that marker there, and like I said, we think the Comet's still coming down. We roll, the Comet comes down, hits the Mortis Engine, blows up the Mortis Engine. It's turn 5. So every group is taking 2d6 strength 5 hits, and it decimates everyone, with the exception of the Knights, who are still sitting there just fine. Everyone else gets just obliterated. I think we forgot to take regen saves for all my guys versus the Comet, but it really wouldn't have mattered. I rolled high for every unit. It wasn't just I rolled high for my own, like I was creaming them. The only saving grace is that I only did like 2 wounds to the other Mortis Engine. Otherwise, I probably would have cleared the board over here with the explosions. And again, these are explosions from a comet that actually wasn't there. I didn't even realize this till today that I had dispelled that comet, and we played last night. Oh, just crazy. Just pure devastation. But it is pretty damn funny. Up here, I get a minor victory. Actually, it's a pretty good victory in terms of points, but the Spirit Host eats the Lord, and he failed another armor save, got 2 through. He's been failing Fear the whole time, so basically instead of 4s to hit, it's 3s to hit, and just chomped him down. Unexpected and awesome. Over here, with the devastation, my skeletons weren't able to do anything, and I wasn't able to send my vampire to the back. How did that work? Yeah, my vampire tried to take out his in the challenge, tried to take out his sorcerer, but I only was able to land 1 wound and not any Red Fury fun, and that just left the skeletons to deal with the marauders, and they suck, and they all died. The vampire was left, but combat res crumbled the remaining skeletons and the vampire, so that sucks. Over here, I guess it was just a pillow fight between the knights and the ghouls. I mean, they're really depleted, but nothing's really happened here after combat. Spirit Host that the warriors were fighting is dead. Just what it looks like. So it's Chaos turn 5. He charges his remaining marauders right past my little bunker. He doesn't want to deal with them. He knows there's a ghoul king in there. And his warriors get in with the ghouls, and it's sadly going to be all over for them. The Mortis Engine still can't charge anyone. I mean, it's not its turn, but it's just going to be able to pulse. It's still stuck where it is because I didn't want to risk it. And the bunker is just a bunch of squishy casters. During Magic, nothing happens on his. He has like no casters anymore that aren't. He only has 1. It's level 1 in combat with the direct damage, so he can't cast it. And so during shooting, the Hell Cannon aims and shoots for the bunker, who don't have any lookouts there or zombies left after the Mortis Engine exploded. I do a wound to the Lord, I kill the level 1, it kills the level 1 Necromancer, and the Strigoi Ghoul King was able to regen it. Over here, that should say 3. I'm down another wound from combat res. I don't kill any of them, and he combat reses me. But they're still there. And this is what it looks like at the end of combat. So they wipe out the ghouls, no problem. There's a challenge from his sorcerer, and I accepted my ghast, but I wasn't able to punk him. He punked the guy. That limited the amount of attacks I could really send back, and you know what? It was just a losing battle anyway over here. Never really got Mindrazor off or anything like that. Just the way things went, and just that fake explosion of the Mortis Engine that we thought was real just ended the game pretty much for me. So this is where we called it, but after that, he overran his few marauders into the Mortis Engine. I'm not worried about that. But then he did get his knights into the Lord Necromancer and the naked Strigoi Ghoul King. So those guys are going to be over. So that's it. That's how the game ended. It was it's pretty embarrassing the way I deployed, and you know I learned that lesson the hard way, to actually take the time and think about what you're doing. Don't just put everyone on the line. I was able to correct it in the game, but I was never able to get Mindrazor off, and I guess that's the problem with a level 2. You know, I guess I have to do it earlier to draw that Dispel Scroll so that I can do it later in the game when I really need it. You know, I've seen this list used on the Vampire Counts forums. It doesn't need to have Mindrazor go off, but it sure is helpful, and it needs it when you're getting hit by comets and your Mortis Engines are blowing up and doing all the damage. But it was a fun game. I got really, the MVP of the game, with the exception of the Comet, was the Spirit Host that ate his Caster Lord for breakfast. I thought it was pretty fun. So I'm going to try this list again soon. Hopefully I'll get in the game and have it up. Thanks a lot, guys.